Hello everyone, this is Mr. Informal giving you my thoughts, analysis, and rant. So, Fuji just recently made an announcement, a new camera model. It's not the XT30 or XT4 or even the X4 or X100 or how many X's there are in the Fuji camera lineup. I don't even know. It is the Fuji X-S10. X-S10. That's X-S10. And this camera is certainly quite interesting in a good way. And I'm giving you my thoughts right now on this thoughts, analysis, and rant on the Fuji X-S10. So, as you know, I have a Micro Four Thirds Olympus EM5 II. And Olympus just went bankrupt. And so when this camera was announced, Fuji X-S10, piqued my interest. It certainly made me realize that Fuji finally has a camera that can make me move on from the Micro Four Thirds. Sony should have been the camera, but the A7C is overpriced. So, certainly my thoughts on this camera, it's probably the camera that I will replace my Olympus EM5 II because of numerous reasons that I will tell you that later. And certainly the price is $1,000. Obviously I have to buy a new lenses because all of my lenses are Micro Four Thirds, but nonetheless it's certainly quite a treat that Fuji has produced a camera to be a hybrid camera of close to a perfect camera there is regarding to price to specs ratio. So, Fujifilm S10 specifications: $1,000 on the body and $1,400 with the 18 to 55 millimeter lens. Magnesium alloy body, has a SLR style body instead of the rangefinder you usually see in Fujifilm. It has 26 megapixels, APS-C sensor, X-Trans color filter, 51,200 ISO max. Certainly has its film simulation. That's usual from Fuji. Image stabilization. They said up to 6 stops stabilized lenses. I don't know what that means, but it's certainly a modified image sensor stabilization. They said it could be smaller than the XT4. It has contrast detect and phase detect. Certainly has phase detection, a live view, and also has tracking. It has focus peaking, autofocus assist lamp, which is pretty good. The screen is fully articulated, 3-inch with 1.4 million dots. Also is touchscreen, and then it has an EVF with 2.3 million dots, which is pretty good. 1/32,000 electronic maximum shutter speed, while it's 1/4,000 on a maximum shutter speed. I'm guessing that's mechanical. Built-in flash, which is pretty good. Yes, it has that. It has built-in flash. Now, as for the compensation, is ±5. Now to video is MPEG 4 and H.264. For video it has 4K 30, 25, 24, and then 1080 it has, let's see here, 1080 it has 240, 120, 60 frames per second, 30, and then 23 frames per second. It has one card slot. It has a microphone input, USB Type-C for headphone and also for charging, micro HDMI. It has a built-in Wi-Fi. It has Bluetooth, and certainly the battery life can take 20-25 photos. And it's not weather resistant or not weather sealed. Not only that, the 4K 30 frames per second is limited to 30 minutes. That's probably due to heating. And so that is it for the specs. So let's get to the analysis of this camera. Now, people have been longing for budget cameras. I'm not talking about pocket cameras, I'm talking about interchangeable cameras. And with the release of this Fuji X-S10 may give Fuji a lot of new users. So their market share in the camera industry could go up a little bit. I'm just saying a little bit, not a lot, but just a little bit. Yes, I do know that most of the time camera nowadays are being used by pros, by enthusiasts or hobbyists, not the general consumers, because the general consumers are usually use smartphones or pocket cameras. And so a lot of the first time interchangeable users, hobbyists, even pros may gravitate towards this camera, but I think pros will say, oh, it doesn't have it's not weather resistant, so they may not like this camera. But for the hobbyists, for the enthusiasts, Fuji may gain some users, such as me. I'm a hobbyist. You can even say I'm an enthusiast, whatever. I'm probably gonna buy this camera. And so if you're a investor of Fuji, this is good news, because Fuji is providing something new to the new user. It may sway current users from different brands to switch to Fuji. So this is great news. Not only that, Fuji is providing a camera at $1,000 that could be used for photos and videos. Yes, I do know it overheats after 30 minutes after shooting 4K, but at the same time, Fuji is bringing something that I thought that the A7 III could not, and that is a lower price bracket. The A7 IIIC is still expensive, and this one can take pictures, has full articulated screen, has EVF, has in-body stabilization, it can shoot 4K, has a microphone port. It does probably 90% of what you need. And so the market is probably going to be positive for Fuji. And now let's get into the rant. My biggest rant about this camera is, after you would think that Fuji would learn from other companies about overheating issues, but apparently not. And so shooting 4K 30 minutes, this camera is going to overheat based on videos I have seen. And that is quite disappointing. Yes, I know that I don't shoot 4K 30 minutes. But it would be nice to not have an overheat issue. And so that's definitely a considering factor when buying this camera. And so number two is that the battery is quite small. It's only 325 shots. That's too bad. I mean, I don't know. I believe that there's enough research and development and technology out there that at the body of this camera you could probably give a bigger battery, even maintaining its size. So that's too bad. I mean, and the third one could be a personal choice of mine, is that I wish it had 60 frames per second on the 4K, but that's just me. I mean, I guess 4K 30 frames per second will suffice. And then one more thing is that the kit lens is raising the price so much that $1,000 for the body and then $1,300 with the 18 to 55. That's $400 additional. That's $400 additional. I know why Fuji's doing this, is they could probably profit the difference, since they're probably making less profit on the body only. But that is absolutely too bad. Additional $400. Why couldn't you just make the body with the lens $1,200? That's why it's a package deal. But $400 with the additional 18 to 55, that is ridiculous. And here's another thing. $1,500 if you get the 16 to 80 millimeter lens. $1,600? Wow. And then lastly, my rant is that for now, I wish this could have been also released with a different color, which is silver. I wish it came in a silver color, because I like seeing Fuji in the silver color, such as the X100, but that's just me. And so that basically concludes my rant. And so let's get to the conclusion here of this thoughts, analysis, and rant. Certainly, I'm interested in this camera. I'm probably gonna buy one next year, the beginning of next year. And certainly, I'm going to buy some prime lenses first, because obviously without a lens, this camera is useless. But it definitely will release me from the conundrum of having a micro four thirds camera, because now that micro four thirds just has no direction, then I will just go to Fuji. Yes, I know it's APS-C, but the reason why is that I wish that the A7 IIIC was lower. I mean, I was interested in the Sony A7 IIIC. Think about compact body with a full frame camera. Everything's good, but at the price, I'm not doing that. To me, that is overpriced. And so Fuji brought something to the table that got me interest, got me looking for videos on the hands-on and first impression of this camera. And so it seems like everything is great. And so that basically concludes my thoughts, analysis, and rant. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of this camera. I think this camera is close to being perfect. Very close. And so I will see you in the next thoughts, analysis, and rant. Bye bye.